Number 56. This is number and quantity, and we're working with exponents. Whenever j and k are positive integers such that the square root of 3 to the j power equals 27 to the k power, what is the value of j over k? A lot of times when we're working with exponents, we're dealing with numbers that can be expressed with the same base. I know root 3 and 27 don't look very similar, but you can actually express them with the same base. This is what I mean. The square root of 3 is actually 3 to the 1/2. If we look at exponents, right? That's really x to the m over n. In this case, there's a 1 here and there's a 2 here. So that's 3 to the 1 over 2. 27 is 3 cubed. So now they have the same base. All we're going to do is attach those other exponents. So this was raised to the j power, and this was raised to the k power. And what we can do with the exponents is multiply. That's 1/2 times j, and that's 3 times k. So this is really 3 to the 1/2 j equals 3 to the 3k. That means that this is equal to this. We can set those equal to each other. 1/2 j equals 3k. Now what we want to do is manipulate that equation so that we have j and k on the same side, but j in the numerator and k in the denominator. We can do this in a couple steps. Let's bring that k over here. So now it's 1/2 j over k. That might look a little bit confusing, so let's just change that 1/2 to 0.5. 0.5 j over k equals 3. So now all we have to do is divide by 0.5. Divide by 0.5. So now we have j over k equals 6. So the answer here is k. Number 57 is a statistics and probability question, and we're working with mean and median. A finite arithmetic sequence has 7 terms, and the first term is 3/4. What is the difference between the mean and the median of the 7 terms? Now this question is fairly easy if you use your own terms. It tells us that there are 7 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Obviously this one is going to be our median. The mean is all 7 numbers added up divided by 7. They tell us that the first term is 3/4, and they tell us that this is an arithmetic sequence, meaning that each successive term is some number added to the previous term. We'll just call it x. So 3/4 plus x gives you your next term, and then that term plus x gives you the next term, and so on. This can be really easy for you if you realize that this first term 3/4 doesn't have to be 3/4. I can just make it 1. And I can make this 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that x is 1. I'm just adding 1 to each of these terms. The median here is 4. What is the average? Well, I'm just going to add these numbers up and divide it by 7. 1 plus 2 plus 3, 6 plus 4 is 10, 15, 21, 28. 28 divided by 7 is 4. This is my mean. This is my median. What is the question? What is the difference between the mean and the median? The difference, 4 minus 4, is 0. The answer here is A. Notice that by using your own numbers, we were able to get to that answer fairly easily. Number 58 is a geometry question. We're dealing with arc length. In the circle with center D shown below, the length of radius CD is 4 centimeters, the length of BC is 1 centimeter, and BC is perpendicular to radius AD at B. When angle ADC is measured in degrees, which of the following expressions represents the length in centimeters of arc AC? So we're trying to figure out what the length of that arc is. So we're going to want to use the formula for arc length, which is theta over 360 times 2 pi r. Theta is going to be this angle here. So that number over 360, that degree measure over 360 times the circumference. I'm going to redraw this triangle because it can be a little bit confusing because it's small, but the radius is 4, which is the hypotenuse of that triangle. And then this length here is 1. And then our theta is right there. So I just blew up that triangle and put it here for us to see. And what you'll notice in the answer choices is all of them have 1/4. Well, what is 1/4? When we're looking at this theta, that's opposite over hypotenuse. 1/4. Opposite over hypotenuse. 1/4. What is that? That's sine. So we know it's going to be F or H. So the question is it pi over 45 or is it 2 pi over 45? Well, let's look at the formula. This theta is actually going to be this part here. So we can ignore that. Let's just look at 2 pi r over 360. So 2 pi r over 360, that r is 4. That's our radius. So that's 4 times 2 times pi. That's 8 pi over 360. 8 pi over 360 reduces to pi over 45. So the answer is going to be F. Now, how do we get this sine or this inverse sine 1/4? Well, we know that the sine of theta is 1/4. But we don't want the sine of theta. We just want theta. How do we get that theta? Well, we make it an inverse sine. So the inverse sine of 1/4 is theta. So if we take the inverse, we're just switching these two. So now we have our theta, which is inverse sine of 1/4, which is that right there. Number 59, this is a geometry question. We're working with areas and proportions. In scalene triangle GHI, shown below, point J lies on the side HI. Ray GJ bisects angle HGI such that angle HGJ and angle IGJ each measure theta, and the given lengths A, B, C, D, and E are in inches and are distinct. For all possible values of theta, the area of triangle GHJ is what fraction of the area of triangle GHI? That is a lot of information. You really don't need to read all of that. Just focus on this last sentence. For all possible values of theta, the area of triangle GHJ. GHJ is this. Is what fraction of the area of triangle GHI, which is the whole thing. So it's going to be the area of triangle GHJ over the area of triangle GHI. Now, what is the formula for the area of a triangle? It's 1/2 base times height. Same thing for the bottom. Now, these numbers are going to be different. The base for triangle GHJ is D. So that's 1/2 D. The height is just the altitude that I create there. And we don't know what that is. We'll just call it H. The area of triangle GHI is 1/2 base. The base is going to be D and E. That's 1/2 D plus E times height. This is your altitude as well. So then the 1/2 reduces with the other 1/2, the H with the H, and we have D over D plus E. The answer here is C. Number 60, this is statistics and probability and expected value. The probability distribution of the discrete random variable x is shown in the table below. What is the expected value of x? Now, expected value does come up quite frequently on the ACT. You should know it. The way to do expected value is to multiply the value times the probability. Here we're given a value and we're given its probability. So what you're going to do is multiply across for each of these items, get a number, and you're going to add them all up. Add them all up, and whatever you get for the total is the expected value. So let's try this. 0 times 1/6 is 0. 1 times 1/12 is 1/12. 2 times 1/4 is 2/4. 3 times 1/12 is 3/12. 4 times 1/12 is 4/12. 5 times 0 is 0, and 6 times 1/3 is 2. So that's going to be 1/12 plus 2/4 plus 3/12 plus 4/12 plus 2. Let's quickly look at these answer choices. When we add them up, we know that it has to be a number greater than 2. The answer is K. Now we can do the math, but if you just realize this, it'll save you a lot of time. That's 1/12 plus 2/4 is really 6/12 plus 3/12 plus 4/12. So that's 1 plus 6, 7 plus 3, 10, 14. That's 14 over 12. That's really 1 and 2/12, or 1 and 1/6. So then we're going to add that to 2. 2 plus 1 and 1/6 is 3 and 1/6. So the answer is K, but you could have gotten that simply by process of elimination. Thanks for watching. For all the latest videos, subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can also find us at justiceprep.com, or you can like us on Facebook and Instagram.